Hello people, welcome back to another episode of the F1 2022 My Team series here on the channel. Today is the Australian Grand Prix. Can't wait to get into this one. There is of course a new layout to the Australian Albert Park circuit on this game, which they did implement last season in real life I want to say, but the game has just been updated this year to include the new layout, so I can't wait to get into this one. First time driving, and as we get into the weekend you can see there the weather forecast is showing a dry qualifying session but a wet race. So that poses some questions. What do we do for setup in quali? Do we put a wet setup on to try and do best in the race, or do we put a dry setup on to try and do best in quali? Let's get into quali and see what we do go with. We skip all 3 practice sessions there because, as you will know if you've seen the other episodes, if you haven't seen the other episodes, by the way, check out the playlist on the channel, get yourself up to date. We have had some trouble with the engines so far this season. So it wasn't even engine failure, it was just wear, unnatural wear on the ICE component of the engine. So I decided to skip practice because someone told me it was practice that's what does it to your engine. So hopefully we see no problems today in Australia getting into it. I do really like this circuit, especially now that there's the change. They apparently moved some of the curbs back, so opened up the apex so you can carry more speed through a lot of the corners on this game. They completely removed the whole chicane, you'll see once we get to it soon. It's just after this section here, running wide onto the curb there, managing to stay off the grass, braking about 75 metres, get the car around in 4th gear and get on the throttle as quick as possible, because now here is the big straight. It is curved, but it's pretty much a straight. There used to be, I'm pretty sure, a chicane at the end of this, but now there's not. Now we get into this fast chicane here, which is still in the game. I've never been able to master this. Last year's game always used to spin out here. Luckily, this time, no, we managed to get through without spinning out. That's probably setup related. We did actually go with the increased top speed setup. I don't know if you've seen that in the video. Braking at 50 metres, that's a new reprofiled curb for this section. And getting through now into the final corner. Wide onto the curb, bring it back right as quickly as possible. This is the trickiest part of the track for me, this left-right to end the lap. Never been able to do that, and all weekend I struggled through that section, especially once we get to the wet race, which you will see very shortly. So that lap puts us P12. It was actually a decent lap. If we can stay there, that would be very nice indeed, and we actually get P13 in Q1, so we make it through to Q2 for the first time this season. Was not expecting that. Daniel Ricciardo P22 and Sergio Perez P21. What has happened there? Ricciardo I can see because he's had a stinker of a season, but Sergio Perez in P21, I don't know what's happened to the Red Bull. We checked the incidents and there's nothing there, so maybe he got his lap time deleted for track limits or something like that, but that's very unnatural to see Sergio Perez down there. But at least it gets us into Q2. Obviously, I missed where our teammate was, and I'm not sure if Oscar got through to Q2 as well. Both getting into this Q2 lap. Yeah, apparently they moved the curb back on turn 1. I didn't really notice it, I didn't really feel it. I was taking the same line as turn 1 from last year. Didn't really notice that. I also noticed while I was editing this video, and well, when I went into the next race after this video, because obviously I pre-record these races, I noticed that like when I go 100% on my brake pedal, it wasn't registering 100% brake in game. So there's Carlos Sainz off the track. What's he doing? There's almost a crash in qualifying. Carlos Sainz, the man who spun off in real life in Australia, going off the track there. Don't know what he was doing there, especially in quali. Must have just got his lap wrong. But yeah, like I was saying, when I pressed the brake pedal all the way down, it wasn't registering as 100% in game. So I had to change that, but I didn't notice that until 2 races later than this one. So yeah. Hopefully now going forward we can have, because this corner right here I was struggling with. You see us go wide there, I just couldn't slow the car down into that corner, and that's because if you look at the bottom you can actually see the telemetry at the bottom of the screen there. You can see when I press the brake I never go 100% on the brakes, and that's because, you know, the pedals were broken. Well, not broken, but I just had to change it in the settings. So hopefully now we can have even that's going to make us even quicker, because we can actually slow the car down going into corners. But that lap puts us, where does it put us? It puts us P15. P15 is good enough to get through. No, it's not, because this is Q2. So hopefully we can improve on that lap. We go again down the straight now, get a better launch out on there and get up in the delta. I believe we were down by a 10th. Now we're up by nearly a 10th, getting towards the chicane. Can we nail this? And obviously we went off the track at the end of that first lap. So P15 is still not bad. Before going off the track we made a mistake. Now we're back down in the delta into the red, heading towards this corner though. This is where we went off the track. Can we nail it better this time? Staying on the track, yes we can. Riding the curb on the exit, and you can see that delta fly up. We gain 5/10 through that corner. Getting towards the final turn now. This is the hardest part of the track. Second gear, short shift to third on the exit, and then just throw it round and hope that you don't understeer or oversteer through that final corner. Very dodgy line from me there, but getting across the line. 5/10s quick and early. It puts us P11. Not good enough to get through. Obviously, top 10 is the cutoff, but we advance to the end of the session because I think P11's good. And then we're nowhere to be seen in the top 14 until we scroll down to the bottom. We actually finished P16, and we are 6.5 tenths away from Lance Stroll. What sort of track evolution is that? 6.5. We were P11, but then now we're bottom by 6.5 tenths. Crazy stuff. We're going to start P16 on the race. Let's get to the race in the wet.
It's race day here in Melbourne as we continue with what could shape up to be one of the best Australian Grand Prix ever. We're a stone's throw from the enormous Port Phillip Bay for today's race at the 3.28-mile Albert Park circuit. It's a bumpy racing surface here, and the 14 corners could prove especially difficult in the wet conditions. So watch out for a safety car at some point during this Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Hamilton, George Russell, and Fernando Alonso. Bottas, Ocon, Mick Schumacher, and Lando Norris. Tsunoda, Vettel, Pierre Gasly, and Magnussen. The owner driver, Latifi, Oscar Piastri, and Alex Albon. Joe, Ricciardo, Stroll. They've taken a grid penalty, and Sergio Perez completes our grid. And now it's time to head down to the track. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Natalie Pinkham, good to have you with us here today. Your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? As a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these conditions: standing water, tyre temperature, and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
There we have it then, people, and shout out to Natalie Pinkham. I didn't know she was on this game. Obviously, it's normally just Crofty and Anthony Davidson normally, isn't it? But now they've got Natalie on the game, so it's good to see they've added some more commentary options there. But getting into the race, you see us bump up our front downforce there in the setup. We obviously can't change the rear because it's park firmer conditions now. Getting into the race, it's very wet, as you can see. Intermediate tyres, but it is 5 red lights and lights out, and away we go at Albert Park in Australia. A lot of wheel spin off the line for us there. We can see a red mark to our right. It's going to be Latifi with a great start. Latifi pushing us off the track there into the grass so we don't make any contact. But can we go up the inside of Latifi here, riding the curb? Let's see who's going to come out ahead there. It's going to be Latifi, our teammate Oscar Piastri. He's just behind us as well. And there's some debris flying off into this next corner as we shoot one up the inside of Lance Stroll. Can we, or it's actually Sebastian Vettel, sorry. That looked like some debris from one of the Haas. That was definitely some red and white debris there. Whether it was Magnussen or Mick Schumacher, who knows? But they are both in front of us, so hopefully they struggle as we make a great pass through past Pierre Gasly and absolutely drift around that corner there. The wet conditions, really, you can really feel it on this game. Let me just say that. You can definitely feel it. And yeah, so we've been struggling with straight line speed as of recent, if you've seen the last few races. We put that increased top speed on to try and give ourselves a boost, especially through this section right here, the very long curved straight, as I should call it, a curved straight. That's just the biggest juxtaposition, oxymoron, whatever the way it is. But there seems to be a massive train in front of us of cars now. Can we catch up to these guys? Kevin Magnussen going slow. Maybe it was Magnussen who had the broken wing. In fact, no, I think that's Mick Schumacher, and that's what's caused this train as we try and go wheel to wheel with Magnussen there. Can we send one up the inside? No, we're a little too far back as we get towards the end of lap 1 here. Drifting around that corner yet again. Absolutely no grip on this first lap. increasing that front downforce definitely did help, but the rear was jumping out on us a lot. We probably should have went with more rear downforce. And there's Lando Norris into the pits at the end of lap 1, as well as I believe Mick Schumacher might have went into the pits there. So Lando made contact with someone, must be getting a new front wing on. Obviously Mick, we saw that debris absolutely flying on the camera. Struggling for grip, as you can see. Again, it's very wet here, very wet. You can see the dry line, well, not even dry, but you can see the line from the other cars starting to open up. And I can't believe this braking issue that I had. I can't believe I didn't notice it, because obviously I had my wheel and pedals set up like in the calibration on the last game. So jumping into this game, I didn't even think I've got to recalibrate the wheel and pedals. So I just went straight into these races, and we've done what, like 4 races now, and I couldn't even brake at 100%. But this part right here is where I was struggling. You can see the gap. Magnussen's pulling away from us there, and Pierre Gasly looking to go up the inside of us, just absolutely drifting off the track every time we came to this section here. Down into the chicane, now Will Pierce then went up the inside. I gave him space, but he yields that attack and gets behind us for the next corner. Magnussen now, he's pulled that gap to 1 second. Not that the time really matters to the car in front, because there is of course no DRS with it being wet conditions, but it would still be nice to stay within that 1 second gap. And there's a yellow flag on lap 2 of the race. I wonder if someone spun off in the rain there into the gravel trap. We'll have to wait and see who that is. It's going to be Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri, missing his braking point. Looks like he locks up there, but then he just drives off the track. And then he comes back on, then he goes into the pits. No, he doesn't. And then he goes into the pits, but no, he doesn't. Then he pulls over to the side. Yuki Tsunoda, what are you doing, pal? That was absolutely crazy driving. Definitely, it could have caused contact there if someone was coming around the corner. The AI seemed to be very stupid, let's just say, when it comes to rejoining the track, and you'll see that next time out in Imola. But Pierre Gasly looking to send one up the inside. Great racing from me and Pierre there, but Pierre stays behind through that corner. And again, Magnussen pulling that gap away. I just couldn't control the car through this next portion of the track. You'll see right here into the braking zone, hitting that apex, pushing it out wide onto the curb. And then this part here, this corner right here, you see we just absolutely drift wide. There's no grip at all. But somehow every other car can just hug that inside line and just go straight past us, like Pierre Gasly's done there. Gasly in front, we're using our battery charge to get it up alongside him, but he cuts us off before the braking zone. Could not send that one round the inside there. That is unfortunate. Pierre Gasly has overtaken us, but we are still in P12. P12 is still a solid position to be in, especially at this point in the career mode. If we can stay in P12, that would be very nice indeed. But something tells me we won't, because look at the man behind us. That's going to be Sergio Perez in that Red Bull, the second best car in the tree, I think. I'm sure Ferrari's first, and again, same thing happens. I drift wide, no grip from the rear, and Perez there, as you can see, overtaking us. I'm not even going to try and fight that, because it's Sergio Perez in a Red Bull. You know, there's no point in fighting it, costing ourselves time in the race to try and, you know, stop the inevitable, as it would be. Next up behind us, though, is Oscar Piastri, our teammate, 1.8 seconds. He's gaining because we just went off the track there. Hopefully, team radio.
ETA on this rain clearing up is about 10 minutes, so just keep your concentration out there. You're doing well.
So, engineer, I don't know what his name is on this game. Last year it was Jeff. We're going to call him Jeff 2. So Jeff 2 just got on the radio and said to us, the rain's clearing up in 10 minutes, which by my calculations, if we're doing about 130 per lap, that should be 5 laps is 10 minutes, yeah? Is that correct? So, by some point in this race very soon, we should be moving on to dry tyres. Now, that absolutely frees up massive strategy options. Who's going to come in early? Who's going to get it right as we drift wide again because we weren't going 100% on the brakes? I can't believe I didn't notice that earlier. But you can see I'm just losing time on the straight, and this time it's not even for the straight line speed. It's literally the entry onto the straight. Every other car seems to be on rails, even though it's raining. And just being able to hug that inside line. But look at this, as we get into it again, I'm trying to turn, I'm turning, and I'm just drifting all the way wide, whereas Piastri can stay there. I'm really battling Piastri here, but I didn't even mean it. I did want to get out of his way, not to compromise our teammate. I do really like Oscar Piastri. He's been good so far for us this season, but getting towards the end of lap 8, I said I was struggling in qualifying with this section of the track. Never mind.
Okay, we're monitoring somewhere on the internal combustion engine. Be aware that we're going to start to see a loss of power.
Never mind in the wet race, but look at that. Are you kidding me? We put a brand new ICE in for this race, and on lap 9 of 23, we're monitoring wear on the ICE loss of power. Lap 9 of 29, 55% wear. This is brand new for this race weekend, and we skipped practice. What the hell is this, Codemasters? What is this? Like, if you haven't seen the rest of our episodes in this season so far, as we get done for track limits here, I believe, and we sure do, and there's a yellow flag, and it's going to be, who is that caused the yellow flag? It looks like one of the McLarens. It's Daniel Ricciardo, I do believe, behind us. He's coming through that chicane now, and as he hits the other apex, he just loses the back end, and Ricciardo off into the gravel. That's exactly what Carlos Sainz did in real life. So Daniel going for a little spin there as we come through. Here's a nice camera angle of it from above, just absolutely spinning off the track, lucky to not come back on the track. But yeah, like I'm saying, bro, the first race, 94% wear on the ICE by the end of it, and then the energy store blows up separately. Second race, 85% wear on the ICE. Third race, 99% wear on the ICE. Like, you know what I mean? Well, this is the third race, isn't it? So I've just spoiled it there. But there's another yellow flag, and it's gonna be Charles Leclerc pulling off the track, bumping the wall on his way off there. And yeah, I've just completely spoiled the race. But I need to talk on it. As you can see now, the thing in the bottom right, we're on lap 13. This is only, what, 4 laps later than lap 9 when he gave us the warning that it was showing wear. Now it's showing dark orange wear, which means it's like 70% plus. If I press B once, it'll show you. But now we're getting chased down by Latifi. We've got no power. Again, losing power. See, that's the thing with this. I don't even know where to go with this career mode now, because we can keep taking engine components, but we're just going to keep taking grid penalties because of that and start from the back. Then the engine component dies in the race, 76% wear after 13 laps, and then we've got no power. So we're going to lose power on the straights anyway, as Latifi manages to overtake us there because we can't slow the car down. But yeah, I really don't know what to do. Like, it's clearly a glitch in the game which Codemasters need to address and EA need to address. Whoever has control of developing the game, I'm not sure if EA or Codemasters, or who the publisher is and who the developer is, but the devs need to sort this out, because I can't play this career mode. I'm going to be starting from the back every race, and then in the race losing power on the straights anyway. Like, it's crazy to me. It is crazy to me how I spent, what, £75 on this game or something like that, and I can't even play the YouTube series that I want to do on it. Like, is it just a bug save, do you think? Should I restart the career mode, keep everything the same, team name, team colours and stuff, but just restart it and hope that, you know, it's not bugged? But look at that, as we look behind us, lap 15 of 29, getting chased down by Pierre Gasly. A lot of people have pit. We stayed out, didn't want to pit because I was looking for that crossover for the dry tyres. But as we're looking in the rear view mirror, there's smoke coming out the engine already. Pierre Gasly ran the outside into turn 1. Can he outbrake us on those new tyres? No, he can't. Look at our tyre wear in the bottom right. The rears are going off already. Well, the rears are nearly at 50%. Never mind just having no grip in the wet. But with the setup, but now the tyres are giving out on us too. But yeah, Jeff told us, or Jeff too said, the rain was stopping in 10 minutes, and it's been like 5 more laps since he said the rain would stop, and the rain hasn't stopped. But he kept saying on the radio when I was checking it that it was nearly time for that crossover, but like there's still rain hitting the camera. I should have just came in for fresh inters and then gone on to the dry tyres, but I wanted to try and do a one stop because, of course, I saw everyone going in for that second pit stop. Oh, look at it! Just look at the speed difference here between us and Magnussen and Gasly, just because we obviously drifted wide again, but still. And look at the ICE, 90% on lap 16. Like, are you actually kidding me? What even is this? This was brand new for this race. I didn't even do any practice sessions on it. And then again, there's an exclamation mark on it. Lap 19, it's on what, 94%? We're currently sat in P12 as well, and I'm thinking this is actually not a bad position to be in. We do need to pit, but if it goes to dry and that crossover period does come, then we can pit straight away for dry tyres. And there goes the back end, and the car has stopped. The car has stopped. They've turned the engine off because the engine's gone. Terminal damage. Retire from the session. You hate to see it. You just hate to see it. Codemasters, please, if anyone watches this video, please send it to Codemasters and EA. Copy the link, tag EA and Codemasters on Twitter, on Reddit, on any sort of social media platform, and just spread the message that there's a glitch in this game and it's preventing people from playing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I cannot play this game, seriously. Like, obviously, like I say, I play ahead. I got to the Miami Grand Prix, all 4 of my ICE components were gone. So I had to take one in quali, which put me at the back of the grid. Not even like a 10-place penalty or 5-place penalty for a new component, because it was in quali that they let me buy it, but they buy the new component. I was at the back of the grid, so I'm like, every race I'm going to be at the back of the grid. It doesn't even matter if we have the best car on the grid, because every race I'm still going to be starting from the back. Do you know what I mean? No matter how well I do in quali. So it's just, it's crazy to see, and it's really disheartening. But Carlos Sainz picking up his maiden win in Formula 1. Shout out to him, Max, and George Russell on the podium there too. Hopefully we'll see Max Verstappen on the podium this weekend. That is the Silverstone race weekend. By the time you're watching this, I'm not sure if I'll have this up on the Saturday or the Sunday, but hopefully you will enjoy the British Grand Prix this weekend. Shout out to Carlos Sainz. He obviously spun off earlier on, didn't he? Did Carlos Sainz? Oh, that was in quali. I'm trying to think if he did it in the race as well, but he did it in the race in real life, but he redeemed himself in our career mode here. But yeah, like I'm saying, don't know what to do with this series going forward. Do we try and restart it? What if I restart the career mode and get the same problem? Like, is it a problem with the game that I bought? Oscar Piastri, speaking of liking this guy, he's up into P12 by the end of the race. That's a solid race from the guy, from P17 to P12. I really like to see that. Sergio Perez ended up finishing P7 after starting P22, right at the back of the grid. There was 3 DNFs, of course, in this race, me, Tsunoda and Leclerc. So that did boost up Piastri a little bit, but still, great result from Piastri. Finished above Mick Schumacher in the Haas, and Lando Norris in a McLaren, who both did 2 stops, of course, stopping on lap 1 for new front wings, but at least we are not dead last. Now here is the bonus clip for this race, brought to you by no one. Actually sponsored by Dual Pods, because we have a dual pod for an engine. We are absolute vape in the back of that engine there, in the back of this car, getting down into that braking zone, and you can see the back end just steps out because the engine completely goes as we turn in. Very funny to see. And there's Piastri. Piastri was actually right behind us. He's probably looking at us thinking, you can't park there, mate. Right on the apex. Couldn't even get out the way. Probably compromised him a bit there. But yeah, as you can see there, I'm going through it now. 94%, 85%. The 94%, it won't let me click that one. It actually lets me pick the 85% one. So it lets me use the 85% wear engine, which is ridiculous, because by the time you finish quali, it's going to be at 99. But we've got a marketing thing here. We have to choose who our rival is, and this is just to get some bonus XP in your races. If you out-qualify and out-finish your rival, we go with Daniel Ricciardo because he's had a stinker. We get a chassis upgrade there in the facility departments, but I'm doing all this stuff, getting upgrades in the facilities, getting upgrades in the R&D tree. You see we get a weight reduction upgrade, I think we got there. Doing all this stuff thinking, is there even a point in it? Like, is there even a point in upgrading our car? Because we're going to be starting P22 and not even finishing the races anyway. We finished 1 race out of 3. I feel like I'm in a Red Bull. We picked the Mercedes engine. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on now. What even is this? The Mercedes engine said we had 90 durability or something like that. Speaking of durability, we got a durability upgrade for the ICE, the component, the internal combustion engine, the component that has been causing us trouble. Hopefully, once we do get that maxed out, you only get 3 upgrades there, so, but hopefully once we get that maxed out, maybe it'll stop blowing up in the races. Who knows? It's probably not, because it's a glitch in the game, like I say. Please, everyone, send this to CODEMASTERS, send it to EA, because it's really depressing to see. If you are enjoying the series so far, though, and hopefully we can bounce back from this, even maybe Season 2, imagine we get to Season 2 and it's just fine then. Stay tuned on the channel to see how we cope with this. If you have enjoyed, like, comment, share, and subscribe. You know the vibes. I will catch us next time, people. Take it easy.